Hi, my name is Denise Lee, and I am the creator of this personal finance curriculum. This personal finance digital lesson library will be a teacher's best friend. Even though when you download this from your TPT purchases, you get each of these units in green to the left individually that you can add in folders. This lesson library is also included in that resource, and you honestly don't even need to download the individual units because all of the links are active. And in this resource lesson library, you simply just click on it and it will prompt you to make a copy. This first section here are the names of the units, the unit names, and then there is a video suggestion for each of the units or each of the lessons. Not every lesson, but definitely the big ideas of each of the lessons. So in this purple second column, you will see the video links, and these are all videos that are, it says under 15 minutes, but honestly, most of them are 5 to 7 minute, very quick snippets that will be excellent for showing and introducing lessons. This yellow section is your lesson library. These are all of the links to all of the lessons and projects that you will be pushing out to your students on your learning management system. Whether you use Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, these are all very flawlessly, they can add to those learning management systems. And then of course, these are your teacher's keys. Now, some of the prompts for the students are subjective. So on the teacher's key, it will just say answers will vary, but most of them are concrete, cut and dry answers. So let's dig into what student-led instruction is. The first activity I'm going to show you is these types of bank accounts. Again, you're going to click on the link and you will be prompted to make a copy of your own. Once you make that copy, that is your own copy. It is completely editable, completely editable. So here's the bank accounts activity. And as you can see, this bank accounts activity introduces the students to 5 different types of bank accounts. This is a vetted link, which means it is pre-screened by me, and they're going to click on the link. This is a flattened resource. What does flattened mean? The students cannot copy and paste the answers. I've been teaching for 27 years, so not my first rodeo. The students get all of this information that they need to be able to use their critical thinking skills, and they need to be able to read it in order to interpret it and not copy and paste. So you can see here that there are 5 different bank accounts that are listed. For each of them, it tells what the bank account is, what it's good for, and what the drawbacks are. Again, what the bank account is, what it's good for, and what the drawbacks are. So what I would do in student-led instruction is I would start the class by telling everyone that bank accounts are important. It's important that we all have bank accounts. And I would also maybe show one of these on bankings versus checking or different banks and credit unions just to get their idea going with bank accounts. If I have a class of 20 students, then I would divide that class into groups of 4, and I would give each of the 4 different students, each of these sections of the bank account activity. So 4 students would complete this section, the next 4 would complete this, the next 4 would complete money markets, and so on. I always set a Google timer. If you go on Google and you just search stopwatch, I would tell the students, okay, each of your groups of 4 is going to have 8 minutes to complete their section. Ready, set, go. And then they go. And in 8 minutes, I'm pulling 8 out of the air, by the way. You can do it however long you want it to do it. They may be able to complete this in 6 minutes, and you'll be able to see if the students are done. And I have actually set the stopwatch for 8 minutes, saw that they were done in less time, and said, okay, now it's time to share when the time is up. So you go to your first section, the first group, and you say, okay, what did you learn about savings accounts? What one of you would like to share the purpose? And someone in the group usually volunteers to share what the purpose is. While that student is sharing about purpose of a savings account, everyone else in the class is recording the findings. So they are actually leading the instruction. If that student leaves out anything, then this is your time as the teacher or the coach to add it and tell the students this is something we want to add. Then you would ask someone in the group, what is this savings accounts? What are they good for? And then that student would report what it was good for, again, while the students recorded in their digital activity. And then someone different would share the drawbacks in that group. So there may be someone that doesn't speak, but we know as teachers, there may be someone that refuses to speak, doesn't want to speak, has anxiety about speaking. But as you do this, what I'm finding is the students that need to work on communication skills will find it more comfortable to speak out because this is the way that class goes every day. And they will come around in their own time. I love that. So the next group will report on checking. So you can see how this is taking the place of a PowerPoint. Instead of a teacher giving a PowerPoint, and teacher-led instruction is when you are feeding the students information. Student-led instruction is when the students are discovering the information and leading the class themselves. They don't have time to be on their phone because the entire class, they are engaged in either sharing content with their classmates or recording content that is taught by their classmates. Again, I interrupt students. Well, I don't interrupt them, but at the end when they're done, maybe telling what a money market is good for. That's time for me as the teacher expert, as the coach in the class, to give students additional information I may want them to know on money markets. Another activity I'd like to bring to your attention is this bank charges activity. This bank charges activity is, again, in the money and management systems. Click on this, make a copy, and this is the bank charges activity. There are 17 bank charges that are in this activity. Now, last year I had a personal finance class that had 16 students in it. So I assigned one of these bank charges to each of the 16 students. So when they went on the link, again, it's a vetted, flattened link. They can't copy and paste. They read about the bank charge that I assigned to them. And from that information, they took, and I think I only gave them 5 minutes on the timer to tell in their own words to describe that fee, and then what can you do to avoid paying this fee. Some of the things that now this here they have to use, of course, their critical thinking skills and answers will vary. Some of them are obvious, and some of them they have to really think. So I kind of went around and saw who maybe was struggling. But if you're walking around the class while they're doing this, they'll stop you if they need a little bit of extra help with this. Most of the students were absolutely able to do it on their own. Now, before we even started this section, why do we have bank charges? This gave me an opportunity to just kind of do this with the class. Why do we have bank charges? And I say, now let's complete this together. That we have bank charges so that banks can make money and so that they are supplementing their income and really kind of absorbing the cost of labor in the banking industry. And then I assigned them. Now, if you have a class of 25 students, you may want to say 2 of you are doing this, 2 are doing that, 2 of you are doing this, and so on. And if there are any left at the end, you can do that together as a class. I mean, there's really no rules. I always assess these at the beginning. I look them over, I evaluate them, not assess, I evaluate them and say, what would be the best way for me to implement this in a student-led instruction situation before I teach the lesson. And you see here at the bottom, it says review the how to limit bank fees section of that resource link and give 3 ways that you would like to. So I gave the students an additional 6 minutes to complete this together, all together. So we did this collaboratively, and give me 3, and in 6 minutes, I asked for volunteers to share what they had listed as a way to limit bank fees. So again, student-led instruction, it's worth its weight in gold, honestly. Now, it's not as easy to do with some activities. So I want to show you one that might not be that cut and dry. When you kind of look over this and evaluate it, you can see it might not be able to be split up in sections in a neat and tidy way like the other ones. So what I would do is I would say, we're going to learn about the W4 and click on the link, again, flattened vetted link, and kind of go over the definition of a W4 and when a student would even get a W4. And just as an intro lesson for the students. Then I would say, let's take 6 minutes to complete the first 3. I want you to complete what is a W4 form and why is it important. I also want you to put when is a W4 usually completed. Give them 6 minutes to complete that, and you will see when students are done, and then have them share their findings, have volunteers share their findings. And then again, anything additional you want to add to that, the students can add to that. Let's take 6 minutes to complete the next 2. Again, set your timer, and you don't even have to set timers. The students actually get really good at this, and they understand what you're doing. I also have a rule, don't work ahead. Students maybe just want to get it done so that they have time at the end of the period, but we are doing this together. Now, you can also put this in front of the kids and have them do it, or send it on a sub day. My gosh, these are perfect for a sub day, but I like to be the instructor. I like the kids to see me in front of the class. So this is how I do this. Now, at the very bottom, I would have them complete all 3 of these. The word exempt means free from obligation of paying tax. If you were a teen, full-time job, blah, 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 refer to the same resource link and answer the questions. Again, give them 5 or 6 minutes to complete that and then share with the class. So you can see that's still student-led. I'm asking for volunteers. I'm not necessarily assigning sections in that one. I would do the same type of thing with this one. This is 5 things a teen needs to know about getting a job. I would have them do this first section, give them 10 minutes perhaps to complete it, and then share the whole class. And then give them maybe 4 minutes to complete this section here, the whole class. And then you definitely want to make sure the students do the math and complete this one so that they all understand this is applied math, how to get the percentages, and then go over your answers. Of course, they're your answer keys to each of these. So this is one, again, I would complete as a class, but do in sections and then go over the responses. This is what I would give in sections. If you have a class of 20 kids, I would maybe do all of this together. What's a FICO score? Do that as a class. Have one group do section 2, one do section 3, and one do section 4. This is a perfect opportunity for scaffolding or for differentiation. If there are some kids that maybe aren't as quick in doing, you can get their assignments, you can give them maybe the easier ones to do, or you can do this as a class. Do section 2 as a class. Let's go over our answers. Now let's do section 3 and go over our answers. So it is your decision, but again, student-led. The students are finding the information and completing it on their own. This is a perfect one to assign in sections or in, numbers. If you go on the vetted resource link, you can see number 1, number 2, they're neatly numbered. Again, it's flattened, neatly numbered. So you would say, okay, I want you to do number 1, or you 2 to do number 1. I would like you 2 to do number 2, you 2 to do number 3, you 2 to do number 4. Once you assign all of those, say, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to complete it. Then we're sharing with the class. Again, students report to the class on whatever number they did as their classmates are completing. Student-led instruction. This one is about maintenance. I would have the entire class do this together and give them maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes to complete it. If you see they're not done, give them more time. If you see they're done before time, then have them share. And again, complete it as the class. So that is just a little bit of information about student-led instruction and how I implement that in my classroom. Again, teacher-led instruction is obviously going to be instruction that the teacher's giving a PowerPoint. No PowerPoints with this. Students are finding the information. You are going to love that because it gets them talking, working on their communication skills. Now, how do I grade these? I grade them like 25 points per digital activity. So that's how I assess. So if I'm doing something like endorsing a check, and I'm grading this. I look at the sections. All of my digital activities are 20 to 35 points. Most of them are 25 points. So I may give them perhaps 5 points for completing all of this. I grade on 3 aspects. Is it done? Is it done considerably? Like, did you use consideration in completing this? Which they should, because we're completing these together. And was it done on time? So if they missed a day, they're responsible for doing these on their own. And honestly, they are capable of completing these on their own. They have the link here and they have to do it on their own. What I find is students hate to miss my class because we do them together in class. If they miss my class, they have to do it on their own. So they don't want to miss my class. And we've been having a problem since going back after COVID with absences. I love that my students feel like they need to be in class in order to get the information. So again, I grade on digital activities. Do I give assessments? All of these wonderful projects, the home buying project, the car buying project, are all graded on projects. And I try to include rubrics with those. All digital activities are graded. So there are a ton of grades in this class. I don't give assessments. I don't give assessments like tests and quizzes, but I did include this formative assessment. I don't want to make a copy because I don't want to have a ton of copies. Formative assessment lesson library in here, and feel free to make these your own. So I think I gave a little brief tutorial on this, but like the 3, 2, 1, what are 3 things that you learned about the FICO score? What are 2 things that you found surprising? And what's 1 thing that you still would like to learn more about? I'm making that up for FICO scores. You make it up. So these are completely editable. They are completely yours. So you're going to customize them. This 1 minute one is awesome. It says in 1 minute, describe the meaning of, and it can be the 50, 20, 30 rule. In 1 minute, so if you're a quiz or an assessment person, feel free to use this lesson library that I included at the top of this. This is a Twitter post in so many characters. Describe whatever. So they're like doing a Twitter post. Again, that lesson library is up here, and you get that with this resource lesson library. So if you feel like you need to be giving assessments, use these. I give you 9, I think 6 or 9. I give you, oh my gosh, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I give you 10 that you can use. This simile, this letter to a friend, excellent. And a letter to a friend, describe the home buying process. In a letter to a friend, describe the car buying process, or describe mistakes made by a lot of home buyers. Now, those are all digital activities that I'm including in those. Now, I also have for this Snip Notes. If you haven't used the Snip Notes, you will want to search my store for personal finance Snip Notes. They go flawlessly with this curriculum. I tried not to charge too much for this curriculum, so I didn't include the Snip Notes. If you want those as an additional purchase, those Snip Notes are worth their weight in gold because they go with literally every digital activities here. And the Snip Notes are a very creative way that I keep this Snip Notes. A very creative way that I keep the notes. As you can see here, it's a folder, and all of these notes are in the folder. They are awesome, and again, a very creative way in which students can complete their notes in your class. Personal finance. I'm going to see if I have a picture of the personal finance. I have the accounting ones, which look very similar. So again, folks, I hope that you found this tutorial useful on ways that I deliver these lessons, instruct these lessons as instructional tools in student-led instruction. I hope that you appreciated the tour of the video suggestions as well as the resources and teachers' keys. The assessments are worth their weight in gold if your school requires that you do formal assessments. Again, I am grading every digital activity and I'm grading all the projects subjectively as well. This is a great way to use differentiation in your classroom because you can meet students where they are. I had a couple of life skills students last year, and on some of these lengthier ones where they were unable to keep up, I just assigned the most valuable content and sections in each of the digital activities for them. Again, differentiation is key when dealing with students with learning disabilities or lower level learners. Enjoy this personal finance lesson library, this personal finance curriculum, and its student-led instruction. It is the best way that I have found in 27 years to keep my students engaged and really make a great teacher presence in the classroom as well.